Good morning, everyone. I'm just providing a little bit of an update since the last time I came on the air. So I've put in place a custodian for the business. That's somebody who would, of course, be responsible for housing your investments in your cash and reserves. Um, the company I chose is Altruist Financial. They specialize in working with independent investment advisors like myself. They are the custodian and broker dealer that you would be directly dealing with when it comes to transferring retirement funds and things of that nature for me to manage and oversee. I put in place a customer uh, resource management software using the company Wealthbox. That's where I would be communicating with you, and the customer service system will, clock the things that we do and interact, and of course manage the workflow as we go forward. I put in place also a financial planning software company. Um, Initially, the concept was going old school, but old school is quite manual. And so they provide a very efficient um, capability of developing my financial plan, and allows it to be live as well as something that you can get as a deliverable. But the real benefit of it being live is that as we put your plan in place and we get into the implementation stage, then I'm able to basically work with you through that website and review your plan with you, discuss it as we develop the plan, discuss it as we implement the plan, and we can basically together watch how your plan affects you and your objectives and goals. So it's a very good relationship. The company is eMoney, very professional company I've been working with, and I think you would like that experience with working with them as well. So some people ask, why didn't I just go the route of working for somebody else like a Merrill Lynch, a Edward Jones, a T.O. Price, um, a Primerica, or a Koya, or like maybe a Schwab. Well, the thing is, the truth of the matter is, I have worked with Primerica in the past. Back in 2000, when I had initially got out of the Army before I returned to active duty after 9/11. But the thing is that when you go work with these companies, you're basically or deciding that you're willing to be put into their box as to what they expect from you, what are their deliverables, what are their timelines, what are their environment, their work environment is about. And I did not want to constrain myself in that way this time. So I chose to go out independently. In doing so, I found out that there are the reasons why some choose to go there other than being wanting to be in a box, is that the regulatory requirements and all the relationships that must be established with working with these different companies that I just mentioned end up becoming a little bit more of a challenge if you're not willing to step up to the plate. And like in Ultra's case, they themselves developed their business model around independent representatives like myself, advisors. So that was very critical in me making that decision to be able to find someone that's able to work with somebody that's out there on their own and want to do things their own way. So for me, I did not want to be in anybody else's box. I did not want to be under anybody else's expectation. And then if I wanted to grow my business, I would establish 1099 coworkers that would have to meet my expectations and be willing to make the same commitments that I've made, other than the and share financially, of course, than the administrative overhead that I've had to invest. Other than that, I'm out here focused on getting it established and moving forward and doing it my way. So there is the case where some people have, questions like, So why do people even consider financial planners? And from my perspective, is why people are skeptical to work with financial planners. I believe it's because that they feel that they don't have enough money. Well, from my perspective of establishing these businesses, I've developed a tier to where I place clients in, and a client that is in tier one does not pay the same fee for service for a client in tier seven, because the client in tier seven may require 40 hours worth of labor trying to establish their account and working with them, you know, over multiple engagements to establish their plan and to actually get that plan published in. And but one that is at tier one, it may not take more than 6 to 10 hours of time to work with that client and stay engaged and actually get that plan published so that the client can start developing their financial or succeeding at achieving their financial goals. So, but when you're at a situation where you're just beginning, it's actually less expensive to work with a financial planner. But at the same token, it's also the better opportunity that you work with a financial planner earlier so that you could be able to take advantage of some of the advantages that come with growing in your profession, growing consistency of income, those things which allows you to then start contributing more. And then you'll be in a habit of actually working with a planner and saying, hey, I'm getting ready to take on a second job, or I'm looking at going to the boss for a promotion, and it looks like this next job can offer me another $10,000 a year. What do you suggest I do with that? And my immediate response would be, let's look at your plan and let's see whether or not this could help you with either of those objectives, that you've established. And then can we pull them forward and then achieve a earlier milestone? And then for some of those who are broader later in their financial life, because financial planning is life cycle financial planning. And the concept is that there are several stages that we go through. And some of those stages we're at the weakest of our financial life, and then others we're at our strongest. And when we're at our strongest is where we become a little bit more vulnerable to giving into, especially if you came from where I came from, some of those urges to, for immediate gratification, buying the new car, the new house, and things of that nature. And so you tend to go out and do those things. But if you had that person over your shoulder saying, how about considering doing this first so that, and you can make a more balanced decision on what to do while you're at that stage of higher earnings. And then don't ever forget that just because you may have now come to that pinnacle of life, that there is no other stage. There's the end of life stage. That's a stage that most of us don't spend any time analyzing. And in that stage, you have to realize that I got assets, I got children. Do I want to be in a situation where they are the ones fighting over the things that we leave behind? So it needs to be a deliberate effort. Excuse me, trying to overcome some kind of a cold I got. So you may be at a point where you now need to be deliberate about what you want to do with your inheritance and how you want to transfer it to your heirs to not create a tax burden or a probate issue that you can resolve by transferring titles and things of that nature that could be captured as you looking forward to going into your end of life stage. If you want to establish a trust, I don't establish trust, but if you have an attorney or there is one that we can recommend, I would recommend, and it's up to you to go and execute and work with that individual to carry out that part of your estate planning. But those are the things that you would have a conversation with in that stage of life. So, being skeptical can prevent you from actually gathering insight and prevent you from actually achieving the level of success that you want to as far as your full life cycle, financial life cycle planning. Some feel that don't have enough assets. Well, not having enough is something that is, self-owned. If you feel like you should have had more, that is fine. Let's assess what is going on that's preventing you from achieving that, and then what you can do to probably change that narrative. But it requires for you to overcome that objection or that concern so that you can actually get some feedback to be able to go forward and understand whether or not there's something that you can do to address that concern. And then those are the ones that like to do it themselves. I am an introvert by nature, and yes, I have spreadsheets, the Wazoo, before I got formally into financial planning about how I track things. But I do know how much time is consumed in developing those particular tools that I use personally. This will allow you to hand over that process, but yet still give you the ability to manipulate some of the aspects of your plan live with myself or on your own. And so when you initially do the fit call, we decide whether or not we're compatible. Then we go to the 1 hour free consultation where there are certain things that you have to complete before we get to that session. And then when we get there, if we feel that we're still compatible, and then we identify our relationship, the client-planner relationship, as we go forward, then you'll be given access to your financial website. And at that point, you will have the ability to upload information and manipulate the data, allowing me to see what you want me to see. Remember, if you don't allow me to see what I need to see, then I can't give you the solution that we need to arrive to. And then all the information, of course, has to be as accurate as possible in order for there to be any real solution to be derived from our efforts. But that still gives you that ability for those who love to have control to work within the system, but it allows us both to work together. And as long as I'm seeing the kind of move that you're making, then I'm able to actually have a up-to-date, insightful conversation with you as we go forward. And of course, there's the decision fatigue piece of it. Again, turning over some aspect of your financial management allows you to be able to gain freedom in knowing that at least if I am not working or looking at it right now, I know that we have a meeting scheduled, then he's going to definitely go and look at it, and he'll bring up something if there's something I've overlooked. So that's another way that I benefit. But I think the real bottom line is that people are fearful of being shamed or judged or anything like that as far as working with a financial planner. I'm a guy that grew up in a single parent household, and so I know what it's like being poor. I know what it's like, when to eat sugar bread and things of that nature, and sugar water, things of that nature to have something sweet to drink. So I'm not one of those people that have the capability of judging others from that perspective. My thing is, I want to be as helpful as I can for this final piece of this discussion I want to talk to you about. This is the wake up call. We got a situation going on here where someone is implementing artificial intelligence. There's a group of people, as we know. These billionaires are putting in place and sending out this very, very, very intense psychological message that they're developing this program to replace humans and doing these tasks that are being, in my use of AI so far. Now they have to go a long way to get to the point to where AI can actually literally replace a human, but they are working on it. But for the most part right now, AI has become a very effective search engine, meaning that it is able to do what I needed to do to gather information from multiple locations and put it in a very succinct form that I can use and digest. However, if you then allow it to then take away the your ability to actually do the critical thinking piece of it, then we're giving more over to AI than we should. But at the same token, we got to realize the intent behind these guys is somewhat insulting as just being a human, because the concept is that because I want to be more profitable in my organization, I am willing to look at you as a human as an obstacle to that progress. Then I'm saying that when I remove you from this piece of it, I'm going to turn around and say to the government that we've been funding, because remember, we as a collective bring in more money or cash flow than the 3%. However, the thing is that they have the greater influence on the people that we put in office. So if we first don't start making sure that the people we put in office are accountable to us, then we're failing ourselves, because they are our voice. We need to remind them. If we have to replace them every 6 years, let's do it. We don't need to have Congress pass a law to mandate they're only 6-year terms. We can determine how long these people stay in office. Even if it's a requirement to have a recall, we could do that ourselves. We don't have to wait on a body of people that we sit there who get lost sometimes to sit here and help us make a decision that you need to go because you're not listening to us. Secondly, but think about this. They're saying that once we get to that point to where I got enough profit in my place, then we're going to tell the government that we can figure out a way to give out a universal income to everybody for doing what? Nothing? Then think about that. So now I get to a point to where this universal income is the only source of income I have. And if you're looking at what is going on right now with the current administration, they're now taking away the Medicaid and gave $1 trillion to these same people. And then think about it later on down the road and looking at taking the Social Security away, that which I don't have a lot of time to narrow down into. But if you think about it, the problem with the Social Security system is not only that the Congress has taken some liberty to take money out of it to divert it to other things, but in true form, there has not been a update of the system of repayment, meaning that people that are making multi-millions of dollars now gets hundreds of thousands of dollars in Social Security benefits that they don't need. I'm not saying they should not earn any Social Security benefit, but I'm just saying, if you recognize that there's a system there that you're going to penalize somebody if they go back to work and they make over $25,000 a year between full retirement age of 67 and 70 years old, then why would you not have a sort of like a stopgap of how much money someone should be paid out of Social Security to ensure that the system is solvent? I mean, that's just common sense. So it blows my mind that the trillions of dollars that are leaving Social Security is not necessarily going to the majority of the people that actually contributed to the plan. It's going to the ones who contribute the most, and if after doing the assessment, probably needed the least. So if they're going to make any kind of changes to Social Security, those are the ones that they should go after first, not the majority of people that depends on Social Security to survive, but the ones that don't depend on it and have the ability to provide the flexibility for the system to work to support other parts of the government. But anyway, so if they're already looking at messing with that, now imagine how much control these individuals have if now this universal income is now influenced by them, and then what will they use that control for? You wouldn't, The concept is that if you're getting $3,500 in universal income, and then however that segment, like now we've identified ourselves as red and blue states, start recognizing that, okay, if I'm good with the party in charge, I'll continue to get my $3,500 a month in universal benefits. But if I all of a sudden go and my state turns purple or blue, then all of a sudden they're going to cut back $1,200 in universal benefits. So every time we continue to give up our financial control to other people, we start losing more of our ability to influence how we are respected, how we are treated. And the wake-up call is this. We need to wake up and take control of our financial situation. In my opinion, I think developing a financial plan, understanding where we are and where you want to be and what you need to do to get there is the first step in making sure that we start taking control. If you don't work with me, that's fine. Work with somebody. My point is this, is that we need to get back control. And if we don't start getting back control, we're going to continue to lose it further and further and giving our rights away to people that have no concern about our lives. Thank you.